obviously we've spoken so much about Amorim's wing backs and the importance of those in his system, and Diego Leon fits that profile perfectly for a left wing back.
Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is Academy Review, which means joining me as always is Mr. Academy Scoop himself, Finn, who's taken out of his time out of his busy schedule, hobnobbing with Adam McCullough on the set of the Overlap to come and chat to us.
I'm moving up in the world now. So.
I'm relieved you're here, because I thought I'd ring you and go, you up for Academy? And you go, for starters, why are you phoning my phone and not my agents? And secondly, no, I'm not. I'm too big in the game for that, but you've always got time for little people.
I know,
I respect that.
I care about helping out smaller businesses and smaller creators in this space. So, looking out for you in that way, and it's a pleasure to be here.
And I'm very grateful for that as well, Finn. It's much appreciated. It's been a busy week, hasn't it? It's all been happening. Yeah. This is why we're doing it a little bit later than usual, because there's been some games that have been coming thick and fast. The under-21s, I think you're going to get into that, and also we'll talk about. I know he's not an academy player, but a young left back that we bought. We'll get into Diego Leon in a minute. But let's talk about the under-21s.
Sure. Amazing week for the academy. 2 really good results, but starting with the under-21s. They were hosting Southampton in the PL2 at Carrington on the weekend. On paper, a fairly equal matchup. There was 2 points separating them going into the game, but the performance and the result told a very different story in favour of United.
They're just the whipping boys, aren't they, Southampton as a club? Yeah. In general. Yeah. Like, it just seems like whatever level, whatever the opposition, Southampton just seems to get battered.
Yeah.
And was this the case as well?
Yeah, definitely. It was a really strong team that United put out, a lot of experience, many of last year's winning under-18 side. There was a funny little bit of a mix-up. I've been waiting for this to happen since we signed them, but with the Fletcher twins, on the team sheet, it was Jack starting, and in the 14th minute, when one of the Fletchers scored, everyone realised it's actually Tyler Fletcher that's on the pitch and not Jack.
You see. United needs to use this to our advantage.
I know, I was always wondering, could they get away with it?
We said this about the De Silva twins, didn't we? Could one of them start the first half and the other one start the second, pretending to be the other one, so he's full of beans?
No one would notice. Yeah. I think, the only difference is the preferred foot that they use, but other than that, identical.
Get away with it. That's one for the future, that.
So it was Tyler Fletcher that ended up opening the scoring. It was a corner that had deflected back to him, and it was still bouncing, and he hit it into the ground, kind of on the half volley, and it looped perfectly into the top left corner.
Love that.
Nothing that the keeper could do about it. United started really strong and were already applying pressure nice and early on. Ethan Wheatley had a chance of his own as he was played through by Sam Murray, kind of hit it straight at the keeper, but United had made it clear that they were going to be dominating this one, and for the rest of the first half they didn't give Southampton anything really. It was one of those performances where just everything goes right. I'd say it's the best I've seen the 21s play in a couple of seasons. It was really kind of encouraging to see. Could have been because Mr. Ruben Amorim was on the touchline.
Impressing the gaffer.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, MUTV picked that up in the first half. It was Darren Fletcher and Ruben Amorim on the touchline originally, and then they were soon joined by Jason Wilcox and Nick Cox, the academy director.
Jesus Christ, was Jim Ratcliffe there?
Yeah, well, it could have been. Yeah, it was a bit of a kind of Avengers lineup. That must have been a fair bit of pressure for the young lads playing in front of those figures who, say they do put in a really good performance, then that could play on Amorim's mind and could prompt him to maybe promote one of these youngsters. So a lot of pressure, but they played up to it. And gave him a very good performance to watch. United's next big chance came through a penalty won by Jack Morehouse, who we talked about last week. He was great for the 21s against Altrincham. A really talented midfield player who hasn't got the chances that you would have hoped for him because of lots of injuries in the last 2 years or so. He was played through by Malachi Sharp on the right. Ran onto it well and was taken down in the box, wins a penalty, and Ethan Wheatley steps up for it, but it was saved by Mohamed Adli, Southampton's goalkeeper. Really impressive save actually. He dived to his right, but he left a trailing leg out, and Wheatley's effort, which was central, got saved. It wasn't a bad penalty as such, but maybe a bit of luck from Southampton's goalkeeper, and it remained 1-0. And then it wasn't until the 30th minute that United found their second, and it was Dan Gore, the skipper. Always good to see him back playing for the 21s because, from a large part of this year he was out injured. We saw him go on loan to Port Vale, and he only played a game before he got injured and was sent back to United. And he always brings, we know how much quality he brings to the midfield and that energy and kind of fighting spirit that you want from a United player. He's been a United fan from young, and I think he's been seen in a few away ends for United. So, a proper red.
Love that.
Yeah, and so him, Malachi Sharp and Morehouse created a bit of a triangle in possession on the edge of the box, just taking the piss really out of Southampton. And it fell back to Dan Gore. He dropped a shoulder to beat his man on the edge of the box and then got it off with his weaker left foot. Nice low-driven shot into the bottom left corner. 2-0. Easy as that.
Love that.
So yeah, went into half-time 2-0 up. Could have been a lot more. We were pressing really well as a collective, just squeezing Southampton for everything they had and didn't really give them a chance to grow into the game. So really encouraging performance, and I'm sure that Amorim would have been impressed by that and would have liked what he saw. Going into the second half, essentially just more of the same. Next it was Jack Morehouse again, who for me overall throughout the 90 was the best player on the pitch.
Really?
Yeah. I've been really impressed by him recently. The thing that stands out is his ball carrying.
Yeah.
He's so powerful, running through the centre of teams. And he never seems to take a touch too far or kind of get it caught between his legs. He's really good at kind of keeping that momentum while running on the ball.
Yeah.
And he brings so much value to United in the centre. And ball carriers are so valuable to any team.
It's quite rare as well, isn't it? You don't get many ball carriers in the middle. It's usually like out on the wings or whatever. Yeah. But someone who can actually run through a midfield or a defence down the middle with the ball at the feet, is quite a sort of a rare commodity. United have been linked quite heavily with Matheus Cunha from Wolves, who's very good at that. Yeah, he can carry the ball. He's done it. You've seen it in action, haven't we? So yeah, I like that trait in a player. It's always exciting to watch as well when you see someone actually just going through the centre of the park with the ball at the feet. Yeah, and so he played it to Gore, who played it back to him. Really nice through ball from Gore, and he was able to finish comfortably on his right foot from pretty close range in the box. So 3-0, just like that. Lovely stuff. Next, it was Ethan Wheatley's chance to redeem himself. Redemption. We love a redemption arc at Old Trafford, don't we? Or at Manchester United, I should say. We do love that.
After his missed penalty and a few chances that maybe he should have converted. But eventually it was Gore again involved in the action.
That man Gore.
Yeah, he laid it off nicely to Wheatley on the left edge of the box. And he curled it in beautifully, a lovely finesse shot, kind of into the top right corner. And he looked relieved. He looked quite happy to finally get his goal. And he tends to always chip in with what feels like a goal a game. At this level, he's a great striker, and he got the goal that he deserved. Southampton ended up pulling one back, and it was actually through a player that we targeted in the summer.
Okay.
Bailey De Pepper.
What a name, Bailey De Pepper.
Yeah, plays up front for Southampton, and he's quite a kind of physical, robust striker. I believe Manchester United were after him before signing Chido Obi. He plays for England's youth side, so he's highly regarded, and probably a bit of lapse of concentration for United because he was able to just get a free header in the box from a set piece. Maybe that was Amorim's influence.
Exactly. Is that like the academy have been watching the first team?
Something like that.
This is how we do it.
Yeah. But United quickly responded through Morehouse again. This was the best goal of the game for me. Really, really impressed by him. Again, like we spoke about his ball carrying, he just drove straight through the midfield. Started by collecting the ball off Dermot Mee in United's third and just drove probably 50-60 yards right up to the edge of the box. Exchanged a nice little 1-2 with Ashton missing, got it back and then pulled off this amazing bit of trickery, beating like 2 or 3, weaving through the box and got his finish off his right foot. And that was 5-1 United.
5-1 United, don't hear that very often. That's good to see.
Yeah, honestly, breath of fresh air.
I just want actually focused on a lot of positives there, a lot of good performances. Obviously, you mentioned Morehouse, you mentioned Gore. I want to ask you about Wheatley.
Yeah.
Because obviously missed the penalty but scored a goal. I've asked you a few times about him, and I'm fascinated with what the future might hold for him Wheatley, because in one respect, he is one of the most spoken about young players. That he has been in the first team. There's a reason you get into Manchester United's first team. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But then there's always, for me, a slight question mark: is he going to be able to make that step up? How do you see him getting on at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it feels like he contributes most games. Either pops up with a goal or sets a teammate up with an assist. I still maintain that I think a loan in January would probably be the best move right now for his development.
Yeah.
I feel like he's reached a level at under 21 football where maybe it's not really testing him, not really adding to his development at this stage. So I would consider finding maybe a League One loan for him, Championship loan. He's one of those strikers where he's got a lot of attributes that coaches like. He's able to hold up the ball. Obviously, he's 6'4". Got a nice physicality to him despite quite a slender frame. Decent finisher. He's not the most clinical, but he's one of those where he gets quite a high volume of shots throughout a game, and one of them usually ends up going in like we often see. And so I think he could be a bit of a maybe late developer.
Okay.
I don't think he could probably come into United right now and just hit the ground running, score a ton of goals. I don't think he's that striker. But I think he's definitely got a career, definitely in the Premier League. Remains to be seen whether that's at United. Obviously, you always hope that players are going to go on and succeed here at United. But I definitely have high hopes for him at some point in his career. But right now, a loan is the next step for him, I'd say.
Hopefully the club take heed. It makes sense from what you've told me in the past, Finn, and from what I've seen myself. And I want to see a bit more of him at a sort of, not a high level, but like you say, a more competitive level, should we say. And if he gets a low move, we can hopefully see that. I'm going to change tack slightly. It's very rarely me and you do this, but we're going to talk about a signing.
Yes.
So Manchester United have signed a teenager, a young left-back, Diego Leon from Paraguay. I know you've, as always, have been doing your own work on this kid, and you can tell us a little bit more about him. I mean, yeah, what can you tell us about him? How excited are you to see him heading to Old Trafford eventually? Yeah,
it's another really encouraging signing. I always like to see the club going out into unexplored markets and seeing, trying to find value in those markets, opportunities to sign high potential players for low fees that, at the very worst, you'll flip them for a profit. But the hope is that they'll be able to make an impact for United. So Diego Leon is a fullback that definitely falls into that category. Obviously, we've spoken so much about Amorim's wing backs and the importance of those in his system, and Diego Leon, fits that profile perfectly for a left wing back. We've signed him on a bit of more of a pre-agreement. He's currently 17, so he's not able to sign for the club until summer 2025, where we'll have turned 18. Signed him from Cerro Porteño.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not an avid Paraguayan First Division watcher. But
aren't you?
No. But having spoken to some Paraguayan fans and journalists, you get the sense that he's a really, really highly regarded prospect.
Okay.
Someone that in Paraguay and in South American football is touted to have a lot of potential and is viewed as a player with a ceiling at the top level in Europe, playing for one of the best teams. And it was reported by Christopher Michel, who's a journalist that I think deserves some credit for this story. Because back in the summer, I think it was, that he pointed out that United were interested alongside Arsenal and Manchester City. So this is a player that's raised the attention of some big teams. That journalist, Christopher Michel, also reported our interest in Sekou Kone back in the summer. So credit to him for that. But yeah, so Leon made his debut for Cerro Porteño in August this year at 17. And he actually went on and scored the winner in that game.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. It was a 1-0 victory against Sportivo Emiliano, I think is how you pronounce it.
I'll take your word for it, bro.
Yeah. So decent way to announce yourself to your club and to that league. and he's since made 19 appearances, getting another goal along the way, so he's clearly got a bit of goal threat in him. The real standout attribute with him is his physicality and his athleticism. I think we've heard a lot about Ineos wanting to raise the kind of the physical and athletic levels of the squad. So many Premier League teams seem to better us when it comes to ground coverage, pace, strength. We get bested in that department a lot. So I think there's definitely a concerted effort in the recruitment going on with Ineos to kind of raise those levels and bring in some athletes who can really bring a bit of physicality to the team. And he definitely fits into that category. He's extremely quick, both in kind of short sprint speeds and covering long distances. Really gets involved in the final third. He can put a decent cross in, he can run it down the byline, and makes a lot of influence and makes good decisions on the ball in the final third. Having spoken to fans in Paraguay, I think it sounds like the obvious area for improvement is maybe more of the defensive side of the game, mainly in kind of his anticipation, positioning, and sometimes he can be prone to a bit of an error. I think there's been a couple errors leading to goal, which is expected of young players. You know, he's still a very raw prospect, certainly not the finished article who's going to come straight in as a first team starter. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually plays a few games for the under-21s just to kind of acclimate to the environment and to a new country, similar to Sekou Kone. They both fall into that kind of emerging talent category. We signed Leon for a deal that's believed to go up to about £6 million, so fairly low risk. It's unlikely that in a worst case scenario we aren't able to eventually sell him on for more than that. But again, you hope that he's going to be able to have an impact and a successful career at United. And from what I hear, he certainly has the potential to do so. So, yeah, another really exciting signing.
Do you think that he can fit in? I mean, obviously, Ineos do, but buying him. But how confident are you can fit into this 3-4-2-1 system as one of the wing backs, I presume?
I think, obviously, I haven't seen a huge sample size of his games, but from what I have seen and what I've heard from people that have watched him, he seems tailor-made for those wing back roles, specifically on the left. But also, we know Amorim likes a left footer on the right sometimes, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him used there eventually. But yeah, everything about his profile to me looks like it's a great fit for the kind of game model and structure that United are moving on with. So definitely good planning, I'd say, recruitment-wise.
Good. I'm excited to see this young lad. Yep. It's what we should be doing. We never sort of seem to tap into the South American market that often, do we? And
there's a lot of deals in the past where you hear stories that our scouts love them, but the Glazers won't sign off on them. Moises Caicedo is one of the big ones.
Obvious one. And then we apparently were linked with him after he'd gone to Brighton. And he was going to cost a lot more. Yeah. So it is good to see Manchester United looking at young players like this. And I'm looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully, he can live up to some of the expectations. Because 19 appearances as a 17-year-old, even bagging a couple of goals along the way, and managing to get a move from Paraguay to Manchester United. Yeah. Including having other clubs like Arsenal looking at it as well. Obviously, a very, very talented young lad, and hopefully Manchester United can nurture that talent, because far too often at this club we don't make the most of some of the youngsters we've got, whether that's players we've brought in from abroad or players that have just come through the academy straight away. I think that's one of the things that needs to massively improve, and hopefully it will. We're not done yet there though. We've got another thrashing, haven't we? Yes. Talk about the under-18s.
5 more goals for us.
Oh, just the 5 goals for us. Yeah, go on then. Talk us through the under-18s against Coventry, I believe.
Yes, so it was their FA Youth Cup opener. Obviously, this is the competition that United are always aiming to win above any others. We've got a lot of history in the competition. We've won it more than any other team. Yep. And some great players have come out of the winning sides that we've had. It was the one trophy last season that Adam Lawrence's under-18s weren't able to
It's
get.
Annoying that, because it's the one that everyone focuses on. Even myself, I'm a layman when it comes to the academy, you know that, Finn. And it's always like that thing of, like, did they win the FA Youth Cup? You talk about the big teams, the teams that won it, the class of 92, if you will, the Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, the Keane brothers team, and then obviously more recently, Alejandro Garnacho, Kobe Mainu,
absolutely.
That team. And last season we won everything but that.
Yeah, it was a shock exit to Swindon.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, it wasn't even against another top team that provide good competition. It was just a kind of freak off day for almost everyone on the pitch, and but a very different story this time round against Coventry, who are a Category 2 academy, which basically means that they fall into a criteria where they, I guess, have less resources, kind of lower level facilities and coaching, and they are 10th out of 11 teams in the North Professional Development League. So not having a great season, but take nothing away from United's performance because they were fantastic. This game was all about Chido Obi and Gabriel Biancheri.
Yep.
Going into the game, I think the big question was who was going to start up front.
Right.
Because you've got these two strikers who, obviously Chido Obi comes in with so much goal-scoring pedigree for Arsenal's under-18s, and he's had a good start to his season. And Biancheri has just stepped up another level this season, and he's got something like 16 or 17 goals already this season. So that was the big question, but Adam Lawrence answered it by starting both of them, which I think is very diplomatic and possibly, now with this performance, a way to continue. So he started strong, straight into it. Biancheri found a good position in the box. James Scanlon squared it across to him, and Biancheri taps it home, 1-0, just like that, 3 minutes. And within the opening 10, he found his second. It was a lovely ball from Jacob Devaney, who kind of he played a nice kind of 40 yards line breaker to find Biancheri running in behind. The Welshman took it round the goalkeeper and tapped into the open net. So it had already started as if United were just going to absolutely batter them. It was one of those games where it felt like it could be 10, 11 goals quite easily. So next it was Chido Obi to get involved.
Obviously.
Love a bit of that. Reece Monroe, brilliant centre-back this season, gets on the ball, and he played another pass between the lines for Chido Obi to get onto. He'd found a nice bit of space in behind, and he ran onto the ball, finding himself 1v1 with Coventry's keeper. And I loved this finish. He kind of slowed it right down to the point where he was almost stationary on the ball, about a metre away from Coventry's goalkeeper, and he almost just looked him in the face while stationary, just tapped it past him.
Mate.
Yeah.
Get him in the first team today. Honestly. Love that.
Yeah.
It's one of those, you got to score if you're going to do that, though, otherwise you look like a but obviously he did, so he looked great.
Yeah, it was a really kind of composed, cold finish. And it just shows, I think, how much confidence he's got at the moment. He's got so much self-belief. I think one of his coaches in the younger age groups at Arsenal said that he's got this belief that no matter how he's performing or his recent form, he believes he is the best talent at his age group in the world.
Good.
And obviously that's, takes some balls, but I think it's the kind of mentality that we need these players to have. If they're going to go on and make it at a club like Manchester United, you need them to really have some character about them, and he's definitely got that, so it's really good to see. So that was 3-0 to United 13 minutes in, and you thought they were just going to crack on, but Coventry actually shored the defence up a little bit more, and it wasn't until later in the second half that Chido won a free kick on the edge of the box, and it was a really kind of another smart finish. Beat Coventry's wall by hitting it low into the bottom left corner. Obviously the wall jumped and it went under it.
Brilliant.
Really intelligent finish, making it 4-0. So they were both on a hat-trick, Biancheri and Chido. United's whole team performed really well this game. Camerson and Amass were really good on both flanks at fullback. Put a number of good deliveries.
Can I ask you about Harry Amass? What's the script with him? Because a lot of people thought he might trouble the first team this season. He's obviously not had really much of a look in. I think he's been on the bench.
A couple of times earlier.
I've definitely seen him warming up at Old Trafford, but hasn't sort of got on the pitch. Do you think he's one who might get minutes this season, or do you think it's a bit too soon? Because we're seeing reports and rumours that maybe physically he's not quite there yet. Yeah,
I'm not sure I completely agree with that, to be honest. I think he for his size, obviously he's not a particularly tall player, but for his size he's quite strong.
Stocky lad, innit?
He's quite stocky.
Yeah.
He rides contact quite well. And I'm surprised he didn't get minutes when he was on the bench. And I think maybe we're in a little bit more of a difficult point in the season where there are less injuries at the moment, so the squad is full of a few more first teamers, and so that pathway is closed down a little bit for now. But I don't think I'd say it's too soon for him.
Okay.
United are crying out for a natural left wing back at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's certainly someone who definitely on the ball can bring a lot of value. But I think he falls into a similar category to Ethan Wheatley, where maybe if he's not going to get the chance to impress for the first team now, he might be able to benefit from a loan. And there are rumours actually that there's loan interest in him for January. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen if he's not deemed ready to contribute at some point this season.
Good stuff. Going back to the Coventry game, Biancheri, Chido Obi, both on a hat-trick.
Yep.
Did either of them get it?
Eventually, Biancheri got it.
Oh, there you go.
He did, before that, miss a penalty, though.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, he won it by himself. And there was a little conversation between Chido and Biancheri, because obviously they're both wanting their hat-trick. But since Gabe had won it, he stepped up to take it. And I think Chido was okay with it. But unfortunately, he missed it. It was saved a little bit of a tame effort. Chido actually came off in the second half as Adam Lawrence wanted to bring on some fresh legs. Kokonki got on to get some minutes, so that's always good to see. And eventually, Biancheri got his hat-trick. Another tap-in, which obviously you can say a lot of Biancheri's goals do come from kind of close range, usually kind of tap-ins, which you can say, oh, they're easy goals. But I actually think it's really encouraging to see a young striker scoring the easy goals.
That's what we're lacking at United a lot of the time. It's having that player who can get those 5-yard tap-ins. And I believe Kokonki was involved in the goal as well. Yeah.
He squared it across the goal. Kokonki had been played in by Victor Musa onto the left side of the box. And just a simple, another simple tap-in. And Kokonki with the assist, which is always good to see. He's a centre-back by trade, but playing at full-back, at left-back. Which is quite unconventional for his height and his size, but finished it off 5-0 and United fly into the next round of the FA Youth Cup.
So the under-18s have done better than the under-21s then, because it's 5-0 is better than 5-1, obviously.
Clean sheet.
And it's Preston next round.
They knocked out Liverpool actually, which is a bit of a shock result. So decent opposition, but I would have United beating most teams in this competition. I think
Let's win it. We've not won it enough over the last sort of 60 years. Since the Busby era, we used to win it every year. It's like we've had it sporadically, haven't we?
We've almost let Chelsea catch up.
And Chelsea cheat as well. They don't do it the right way. I know they, you know what I mean. They just go and get all the best young players. They used to, didn't they, from everywhere? Put them in a team, and then they win it, and then they'll never trouble the first team ever. Where at least our academy, you see them in the first team. So it'd be great if Manchester United could win that, because I know this is obviously Adam Lawrence's side. Are fantastic. You've mentioned how they're breaking all sorts of records. But just for the basic fans like me, you go, did they win the FA Youth Cup? That's the one.
Of course they did.
Do you know what I mean? Good stuff.
They'll have it in their sights. Definitely.
Yeah. Finn, always a pleasure chatting to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on the channel and sparing us, some of your time. You've been on the channel a lot lately, to be fair.
Yeah.
Watch-alongs on the Academy Review. You're going to be on it a lot more as well. And it's good to see you getting on the overlap as well. And hopefully we'll see you across more media as well. Go and check out Finn on Academy Scoop. Get all the latest updates, all the latest insight into what's going on in the Academy team. You know where to find me. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been Academy Review. Thanks for watching.